Hey guys, welcome to a different head dynamic. ADHD. No, it's not an ADHD podcast, but I do have ADHD. So this acronym works both ways. It stands for what we're doing, but it also stands for what I have. So tune in and get ready. Yeehaw. I love that tree. Hey guys, welcome to episode 6. Yes, I missed a week. I was busy and, ADHD. It's really hard for me to stay consistent with stuff. The fact that I'm doing this again now, like I'm continuing after stopping, is a big thing, I think. So I'm excited. I'm glad that I'm back on here doing this thing. I just promoted episode 5 a little bit more last week, and then ready to go. I'm actually recording on a Saturday this time, and I'm rocking a hat that I haven't rocked yet. It's my Snoopy golf hat. It's very hot. Had to kick off my shoes. I'm really sad that I have to close my window. It's hot out there, y'all. I'm in Southern California. And it is, let's see, what's the weather today? The weather is, and if y'all are like, why does she sound so country? I'm from Kentucky. If you're new here, I'm from Kentucky. So it's 77 degrees outside. And 77 here, it feels a lot hotter than that. I love this tree. This tree that's outside of my window, I love this tree. I don't want to get too woo-woo on y'all, but when I was trying to get this apartment, I meditated with that tree outside on the patio. And I think its energies helped me get this apartment. And I've been here for a little over 2.5 years. I never thought I'd live somewhere with palm trees, and I've got one that I can just touch right here. I'm on the 3rd floor, and its palms just stretch wide, and it's so pretty. I'm so grateful to live here, even though it's expensive. Anywho, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Well, I guess I should welcome myself back since I came back. What's new this week? Twisters. Last time I talked about Deadpool, I watched Twisters. I love Glenn Powell. And gosh, Daisy Edgar Jones. She's apparently single-handedly brought back a hairstyle of you haven't really done anything with it. You just have like occasional random waves here and there, and you're just letting it go. You're letting it fly, and you're rocking it. Apparently that is the style now because she's bringing it back, and I can't thank her enough. She is my Lord and Savior for that, because that's my hairstyle every single day. I will rarely take a hot iron or a curling iron or a flat iron. I don't know I know the difference between a curling iron and a flat iron, but what's the difference between a flat iron and did I say hot iron first? I don't know. And I rarely blow dry it either. So, it just be doing its thing. And I don't have wavy or completely straight hair. Unless I blow dry it. If I blow dry it, it's straight because I'm using a brush. But if I air dry it, it's like wavy straight with not consistent waves. Anywho, so yeah, I was one of those girlies that went on the TikTok trend of like, oh, maybe I have curly hair. No, I don't. And if I do, I just don't know how to put in that work. The Olympics, man. I haven't talked about the Olympics at all on here, I don't think, because I didn't do an episode last week. So Simone Biles, GOAT. We all know that. I don't have to talk about that. It was so cool watching the gymnastics, but I would say, I did talk about the Olympics because I said I was taking up tennis because of the Olympics. I've only played once, but we played pickleball, and that was fun. We're doing pickleball Tuesdays. We're going to start playing consistently every Tuesday. Also, I have noticed, along with a couple of my friends, so I use this app called Marco Polo. And if you're not new here, you know I've mentioned that almost every episode. And I keep up with my long distance friends on that app. And two of my friends in the same day, we realized how much we say like to describe things. And so I'm going to try to be more conscious of that. But now, since I told you that, I feel like you're going to be focused on how many times I say like. I feel like me stopping myself saying like and trying to fill it with a different word. Like, for example, for example, or as if, or just not using it at all. So there's that. You're welcome for putting your awareness on how much you say like. I think it's a millennial thing, but I don't know. All right. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I watched It Ends With Us last night, and it was so cute. Obviously, it's missing stuff in the book, but they did really well at the progression of the movie throughout the book. You have to leave stuff out or it would have been way longer than it already was. Honestly, I gave it like a 7 out of 10. I said 6 or 7 out of 10 initially because I didn't love Ryle, but I think he played the character so well. So go watch it. If you've read that book, or even if you haven't read that book, it's really good. Blake Lively is my other Lord and Savior. Yeah. Work has been good. We'll get to that fire safety tip a little later. I got a good one. Well, I got a good one for you to use if you ever have a fire in your life, which I pray that you don't. Most people only have one in their lifetime, if any. And I just hope that, I didn't address this cow. If you're not watching, I have a ginormous stuffed cow sitting next to me, and his name is Moose. Has beautiful blue eyes. This is my buddy that Chris won me at the Orange County Fair last weekend. We had a good time, and so this is my buddy. This is where it sits night and day because it's too big to go into the bed. But this is Moose, so it's just gonna hang out kind of over here in the video. If you're watching on YouTube, you have a much better view of Moose. If this is just a clip. Hey Moose, what do you have to say to the people? Nice. Okay. If you're watching on Instagram and it's just a clip, you probably have like half his face because it's the long ways. So anywho, I'm excited and glad that I am on here. I did miss last week. I think I said that already, but in case I didn't, I was busy. I wasn't feeling it. I am going to talk a little more about ADHD today. The podcast is called A Different Head Dynamic. And the reason I named it that, if you're new here and you don't know, is ADIHDY. So that's a different head dynamic. That's why I named it that. Because I feel like there's such a stigma around ADHD, and I was late diagnosed as an adult, and I kind of wanted to play off the fact that it's just a different head dynamic. You just have to learn to do things differently and to build different things and to see your strong suits with ADHD by seeing it as just a different head dynamic. Like, you just have to learn yourself a little differently. So I had quite a few questions about ADHD this week, and then I also had a few questions about alcohol this week. So I'm going to talk about some of that. And so I said, in the intro even, I'm like, it's not an ADHD podcast, but I do have ADHD. But this time it will be somewhat ADHD focused, but we still got our devil's advocate. We still got our Sunday scaries. and we still got our fire safety. It's all over the place. It's literally the epitome of ADHD, you know? So, anywho, enough of the intro. Let's get into... I'm going to start with Devil's Advocate this week. So, oh my goodness. Okay. This one is, am I the asshole type structure. Also, you don't have to, like, if you want to write in for Devil's Advocate, if you're a Reddit person, so my friend Christina, she has started just sending me links to Reddit posts that she likes to get my perspective on for the podcast. So even if you want to do that, you can. You don't have to write in your own full thing if you don't want to. So it says, am I the asshole for laughing at the name my sister chose for her baby? For context, I attended a family dinner with my mom and dad and sister yesterday. My sister is due to give birth soon and decided this dinner would be the perfect time to announce the name she chose for her first child. My sister has always been obsessed with aesthetics. Her whole house is beige and rather depressing, if I'm honest. The whole nursery she built for baby is beige and gray and will not accept colorful gifts for the baby. I can tell her husband hates it and he won't admit it. Now here's the issue. I'm very prone to laughing at inappropriate times. I am autistic and find it hard to filter what I say and my emotions, which can lead me to reacting to things in ways that can offend people. I didn't think this would cause issues until she revealed the name of her baby. So we are all done with dinner. We look at my sister and she announces the name of her baby. Brooklyn Willow Rose. Insert surname, not including it for privacy. Spelt exactly like that. So the spelling is BROOKLEEIGH Willow as spelled and rose like the flower. And then I burst out laughing and said, you cannot be serious. I am now banned from all family dinners. Is the name really that bad? Was I really a massive asshole? Yeah, that's mean. I mean, Brooklyn is spelled like that. I don't know. I mean, yeah, you're kind of an asshole for laughing at your sister, but people who name their kids these like outlandish names, and it's not even like Brooklyn isn't even that bad of a name. Like, it sounds cute, but the spelling is like the epitome of the worst part of the English language. Like, why has it got two E's and an IGH in it? You know, I feel like the kid's going to have a really hard time spelling its name for a while. No, but I mean, it sounds nice. I love Willow Rose. One of my cousin's baby's name is Willow. I love that name. So one of the comments says, I'll argue Willow and Rose aren't bad, but damn, Brooklyn looks like whoever was writing it had a stroke mid-name. Oh, let's see. Willow Rose is pretty, but Brooklyn had me doing a spit take with my coffee this morning. See, all these people. It echoes in my head like broccoli. I might have been an ass and laughed too. That poor kid. Okay, you guys, be careful when you're naming your kids, because their name could cause them to get bullied their first 15 years of life. You know? A poor kid. But Willow Rose is so pretty. And Brooklyn's not bad, but it's like, yeah, I mean, kids are going to call her broccoli. That's just going to happen. Sorry. I think, yes, you're the asshole for bursting out laughing at family dinner. Maybe we take an E out of the name. I don't know. To each their own. Let her have her choices, whatever. She might regret it later. Okay, so here's the next one. This one is more like a relationship issue that they need Devil's Advocate opinion on. My boyfriend and I have been together roughly 2.5 years, living together for the past year. So they're in their late 20s, by the way. Yesterday I received the dreaded quotes, "Hey girl" message on IG, Instagram, and I'm so insanely confused and just unsure what to do with myself. Details of what happened. The other morning, he got a follow request on IG from a girl I believe he's been with in the past and immediately slid into her DMs 100% flirtatiously. They switched to text, exchanging nudes, then had random casual chit-chat, continued for the rest of the evening. At 6 a.m. the next morning, he fessed up to her that he had a girlfriend and it was a mistake. He didn't know what he was thinking and that he was sorry. This girl found me on Instagram and immediately sent me all the screenshots and apologized for not knowing. This all happened yesterday morning, and now I'm stuck in a constant state of flip-flopping between anger, frustration, sadness, and numbness. When I found out, I immediately confronted him, and we spent hours talking, arguing, and crying. He says he's never done it before and immediately regretted it, which is apparent, but I just don't know what to do from here. I always told him I only have 2 deal breakers. You put your hands on me or dick in someone else, and it's over. But it just doesn't feel fair to blow up my life and everything out of nowhere like this. At the moment, we are taking it day by day. Where do we go from here? Push through? Throw it all out the window? Help. 2.5 years ain't that long. My initial perspective is leave. My initial response is like, 2.5 years is not that long. So you've been with him, so she's 28. So she's been with him essentially since she was 26 or 25. It's so common to settle or get stuck in something when you're in your late 20s because you're like, oh, I'm going to have to start all over. But think about sticking this out and it happens again in 6 years. Imagine you'd be 34. What? Like, you get out now and you find someone that doesn't do that shit. You know what I mean? And so if I have to, devil's advocate, I don't know him. Oh, this is so hard. I don't know him, and maybe y'all are going through something. Maybe there was something like on the inside where he needs to go work something out in therapy, or you guys need to go work something out in therapy. Maybe he's got something going on that made him seek external validation and he didn't communicate with you, when the mature thing would have been, hey, like, I'm feeling XYZ. I need this from you to feel more fulfilled. Oh my gosh, my country accent, to feel more fulfilled. Anywho, so if you wanted to push through, I would definitely recommend therapy. Try that out, see what comes out in therapy, and then decide from there maybe. But I would run. My initial thing is like, no, get out. 2.5 years is not long enough. 10 years ain't long enough. I'd get out at 10 years. No, I don't know. So yeah, I wish you the best. Let's see. Here's the top comment. It sounds like you should reflect on how important this value is to you. I already disagree. I know it feels like you're blowing up your life if you end things with him, but the alternative is risking undermining. Oh, okay. Never mind. Is risking undermining. Can I speak? Is risking undermining your own fundamental values and demonstrating that your hard line standards can be brushed off. I strongly recommend taking this time to consider for yourself. Is there anything that can be said or done by him, you, or both of you that help rebuild the trust? Relationships require trust, and trust is a very personal thing. That varies from person to person. Figuring out whether there's even a possible path forward would be a place to start. Yeah, I mean, that's a good, like, is it worth it, or should you get out for yourself? What would you tell your daughter to do? That was one of my favorite lines from It Ends With Us, is she, actually, not going to tell you. Sorry. Spoiler alert. Actually, yes, I'm going to tell you. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen It Ends With Us, or if you haven't read It Ends With Us, skip like a minute. So my favorite line, she had just had her baby, and her current husband were sitting in the bed after some like turmoil happened in the relationship. And she basically looked at him, and after he's like holding her and happy and like thinks that they're going to be okay, she's like, I want a divorce. And she's like, if she came home and told you what happened with us happened to her, what would you tell her? And he was like, I would tell her to run. I'd beg her to get out. I'd beg her not to go back. And then that was like the eye-opening point where they were able to separate for the baby. Oh my God, it was so cute. All right. End of spoiler alert. Okay. I'm going to move on past Devil's Advocate. Y'all let me know what you think on those. So questions. I had a question come in about stopping drinking alcohol, and I just want to read it anonymously because I did a year sober. And so like I'll have friends reach out and ask me questions occasionally about it. And this one was, when you decided to go sober for a while, how did you quit? I don't feel like I have a problem or anything, but at the same time, when I go out, I drink so much and just act out of character. I feel like I can never just have one, but I also feel like I need a drink to be social or I'm just awkward. I used to heavily feel like this. And my answer though is I just quit is the thing. And it started as a New Year's resolution. It's something that I just wanted to do for New Year's, like, oh, my health, blah, blah, blah. But really, I had been going through some things with my family where I come from a family of addiction, and a couple of the people in my family are alcoholics or recovering alcoholics. And one of them is recovering, and so like that's easier. The relationship is still like a little distant. I kind of don't exist in a way. Like we can go months or a month and like nobody reaches out. It's kind of wild. But anywho, so everybody's dealing with their own stuff, so I don't take it personally. And that person's recovering, and so that's like getting a little better. But the other one, like I was still getting mixed stories. People would call me worried, or people would, people act like I can do something from over here. But even if I was home, there's not a whole lot you can do for someone that doesn't want help. Like they have to want the help before they accept it, and then they'll go into recovery, And my other person in my family who is recovering did it on their own. I don't know how they did it. But just cold turkey was like, okay, enough's enough. Like, time to get out of this. Force themselves to go through it. I know it had to be brutal, and like, I commend that person, and I hope that our relationship builds to be something that it's never really been one day. Maybe we can be friends or something, So, like have a good relationship in a friend way. Like you can be friends with your family, So that's the goal one day. So we'll see now that I'm an adult. But the other person is still up and down, still struggles, but they are in a pretty good place with the people around them, and I'm hopeful for them. So that's exciting. But anywho, that was a side tangent. I decided to be sober for a year because of that. Because of that stuff that I was going through with family. I wanted to prove to myself that I could be sober for a year, not drink alcohol. So, yeah, it was a fun year. It was a tough year, but I just quit. And it was easier to have a crutch of being like, oh, it's just a New Year's resolution. I just want to do a full year and see how I feel at the end. And so for people I didn't want to open up to, I would tell them that and be like, I'm doing it for me and my health and my body to see how I feel. But people that I trusted, I'd be like, hey, you know, I'm mainly doing it for me, but I also need to do it for me in the way of, I need to know that I don't have that addictive issue, because okay, let's go down this road. I started drinking at a very young age. I was drinking at about like 14 or 15 years old. Now that's dabbling. I wasn't drunk, and I don't advise it. You shouldn't start drinking that young. Like, try to wait until you're 18 at least, you know, even though that's not even legal. Don't listen to me. Wait until you're 21, kids. But yeah, so in my mid-ish 20s is the time to where I like started just like kind of getting sick of it, but I was on this same boat of like, I didn't need it, and I didn't drink during the week. But on the weekend, if I was going out and having a good time, I didn't know when to stop, because I didn't give myself time to stop and process the alcohol that was already in my system. And so it would all just hit me, and then boom, you know, you're drunk, you're hammered. And I didn't like that, but I loved having fun with my friends and going out. So it's like, I could never find that happy medium, and I didn't like that feeling. So that's another part of going sober for a year. You really get a feel of your body when you start drinking again, if you ever decide to start drinking again. If it's something where you think you may be an alcoholic, you may have a problem, don't even consider going back to it. There's so many non-alcoholic beers. I have Athletic Brewing in my fridge right now because I don't prefer to drink all the time anymore, and I don't necessarily love going out and stuff. So I will often drink non-alcoholic beers as well. But I still drink. I do. But what the year did for me was prove to myself that I'm not an addictive personality. I can live without it. I have control. It gave back my control and my wherewithal to be able to pause before I get another drink, or drink on the one I have longer, and kind of be more spatially aware of what's going on. So that's been wonderful. I feel very much back in control, and I don't have as much anxiety about falling down one of those holes of alcoholism, which is very encouraging. So I would encourage you to just set a goal for yourself if you are someone who wants to stop drinking alcohol for a bit, just to get your control back, or if you want to stop drinking altogether. Just tell the people that you're close to, or the people that you're used to drinking with, that like it's a goal of yours, whether it's for health reasons, or if you want to tell them that you think you could have a problem and you just want to have fun without it. And you don't owe anyone an explanation. Like, sorry, I don't want to poison my body today. Negative Nancy over here doesn't want to put poison in her body. You know, like, it's crazy. If you tell someone you don't want to drink water, they don't care. So like, why do I have to be drinking beer or alcohol, or why do I have to take shots with you? Like, you don't have to do what you don't want to do. So just make sure you are open with people. You're saying no. But you can still go out and have fun. If you don't have a problem, I still went out with my friends. I would DD, and I'm relatively outgoing, but I am kind of like an introverted extrovert. Like, my battery kind of drains out quickly when I'm not drinking, but I am capable of like dancing and still like being goofy and stuff when I'm sober. So it could be harder for like introverted introverts to go out without having a little bit of alcohol. So me and my friend Taylor, we actually found this like mushroom extract elixir type thing. And then my roommate Kate, she also found like a drink that essentially does the same thing, but it like gives you a little bit of a buzz, a little bit of a woo, carefree type of thing without the alcohol. So I forget what they're called and can't remember right now, but you can look them up. You can Google them. It's like alcohol free, but it still gives you like a little bit of a, you can start the day with that, start the night with that, and then you're kind of like loose because people are drunk and it's like, whatever, you know? So, sorry, that was a really, really long tangent and I went on a lot of side roads there. I hope you were able to follow. But yeah, that's basically, I just quit. Literally one day said, New Year's resolution, I'm not drinking. And I stopped drinking on New Year's Eve on the 31st of December. Didn't drink that night because I didn't want to go into the new year hungover because I wanted to start it hard, fresh. But you don't have to wait. Do 75 hard and then just do the alcohol part. You know, like if you need an excuse because the people around you are going to be influences, pick something and stick with it, you know? All right. Anywho, moving forward. So this other question was, how did you accept that you had ADHD? So, okay. I had an inkling that I had ADHD in college, and I do not recommend this to kids at home. A friend of mine was prescribed Adderall, and I was struggling to study for this biology exam. And I was like, do you care if I like take like half or something to help me focus? And they were like, okay. They got real serious and they're like, have water. Make sure that like basically take a nap before, because you're not going to sleep for like 2 days. Drink lots of water while you're studying. Make sure you eat, blah, 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 blah. Like all these like standard recommendations. And I was like, okay, check. Like, got it. So I had my big water. I had everything ready and I'm like, oh, okay, take one. I start studying. And I was able to read a full chapter without starting a sentence over. I was able to read. And if you have ADHD, you know what I mean. I was able to read an entire chapter without starting it over, and it was biology. Before I took that Adderall, I had read a line about photosynthesis probably 6 times and about how to break down because I could not focus. And so I read the entire chapter, but I'm not feeling any of these symptoms. I'm not feeling jittery. I'm not feeling like thirsty. I'm not feeling restless. So I call my friend and I'm like, did you rip me off? Like, is this like, well, I mean, they gave it to me for free, so it wasn't a ripoff. Like I didn't have to buy it. But I was like, is this even real? Like, what is going on? And they were like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I'm not like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stay up all night. I mean, I'm studying and like I'm getting further than I was, but there's no way I'm going to be able to stay up all night. And they were like, you ever been tested for ADHD? I'm like, no, you know, my family doesn't really think that that's a thing. And no offense to my family. It's just not common in small towns for mental health to be like really normalized. So anxiety, ADHD, it's like, it's all in your head. It's just all in your head. Just try harder. Just, you know, oh my gosh, if someone told me to just try harder one more time. So yeah, I had an inkling that I had ADHD after that, but I was 21 in that moment. And I didn't get officially diagnosed until I was 26 or 27. I can't remember exactly how old I was. But I was living in California and on my own health insurance and all that stuff and was finally able to be like, okay, something's got to give. Because I was drowning in like my admin work, my reports and studying for certifications and stuff like that for my job. And my psychiatrist, when I took the exam, was like, how did you pass college? And I was like, I barely passed my gen eds. Like my first 2 years were like, I really had to freaking try and study and like really hyper focus. And I pulled a lot of all-nighters because typically I would just like drink a Red Bull, stay up all night and finish all my essays or study all my stuff. And I would get a good enough grade. I would get C's and B's and stuff. And I was a C's gets degrees girl. And then I found fire investigation through they made me pick a major because I hadn't picked a major yet. And it's very hands-on. I'm digging through fire scenes. And the classes even had like experiments in them. It's a science-based bachelor degree. And yeah, so I started getting A's. I was on principal's list. Because I was hands-on, and it was like interesting, and I loved it, and like I was in it. And that's how I got through college. I graduated on the principal's list as a full-time student, a full-time athlete, and a full-time bartender. Getting it. And that was before I was diagnosed with ADHD. And that was the one and only time I ever took Adderall. I never took it again after that science exam, that biology exam. That's how I knew I didn't want to go into biology, and I wanted to go into the science degree I did was more chemistry and fire science based. Yeah, biology's not for me. So anyway, so I kind of knew that I had it when I was 21. So that's kind of how I accepted it, but I didn't fully accept it. I kept just saying like, oh, everyone's like this. Everyone struggles with this kind of stuff. Everyone is struggling on their finals right now. But like my friends could go sit in the library and focus and study. And my friends, like, it was just different. And I was telling myself it wasn't. And I didn't understand. I wish I would have understood it sooner, because like even in high school, I think I could have gotten a scholarship. Like I was relatively smart, but I would get into executive dysfunction and such like crippling anxiety because of it. I dropped out of college, or not college. I finished college. I dropped out of high school in my first semester of my senior year, or second semester, the first half of my senior year. So my dad died in December of my senior year of high school. And I dropped out of high school after that, and did online like homeschool through a high school that was like based out of Georgia or something. And I would, oh my gosh, it was the best thing for my ADHD. I would stay up until like 4 a.m. and finish an entire class that would have taken me an entire semester in high school. And I was doing so bad in high school up until my dad died, because my dad had cancer. So like I was going through some stuff. I should have been seeing a counselor, but you know, mental health, not a thing. They're not asking. Like, I'm so out of character. This is something that, side tangent, that bothers me about public school systems is if you have a student that is going from like A's and B's to C's and D's and F's and starts dressing differently, not caring about how they look, and like is clearly going through something but is putting on as if there is nothing wrong, maybe have them go see a counselor. You're seeing the same teachers every single day, and not one person knew or even tried to see that I may have been going through something. So public teachers, please do better. Like, that was such a difficult time in my life that I was going through practically alone. And most of my friends, it's my fault because I did not let people in. I didn't know how to communicate emotions, and I didn't want to like put burdens on people. So like I was in this, I was in choir class, and we did this like madrigal thing every December. And before I dropped out, we had that performance, and I was the lead on the dance portion of it. Like I choreographed it, and I taught the dances, and we had the practices and stuff. And they didn't know until my dad died the morning before our performance. I get the phone call, I go to my memos, deal with all that with my family, and I had madrigal. That's what the performance was called, or 5 or 6 p.m. And I go there, and then they know. I don't know how they found out. I don't know who told them. Like, I don't know what happened there. Or maybe I like posted something on Facebook, like rest in peace or something. And then, so now there's this like large group of people that are my friends that literally had no idea. And they're like, So now they're crying, and God bless my friend Carly. She has the sweetest heart in all the land. And she's just sobbing. And like, I've kind of like sat into the numbness of it all by that point. So they do this really nice thing where we wear these bows and or the ribbons or whatever for cancer. My dad died of lung cancer, and we danced with those ribbons. And one of my teachers, so this is the point I'm getting to. One of my teachers, where I had been missing her class pretty consistently because she was one of the end classes of the day. And if classes were stressing me out or I wasn't interested, like I was depressed, I would skip, or I would like not pay attention, or I'm not doing my work or whatever. And that is not me. That was not me. That's not who I was as a student. I really cared about my work. And she's like, "Oh, what are these ribbons for?" And I looked at her and I was like, "Oh, my dad died today." And she goes, her mouth drops, and she was like, "Well, no wonder you've been performing the way you have lately. Oh, no wonder, like, you've not been here lately. Like, I wish someone would have told us." And yeah, I probably should have told them, or like my mom or somebody should have probably told them stuff was going on. But how am I supposed to know that as a kid? You know? And I didn't really know how to process my emotions back then. So it's like, if you're a school teacher and you notice a difference in your students' performance in middle school or high school, like those parents should be called still. My mom was never called or never told that that stuff was happening. And there was no like red flag raised. It was just like, "Oh, she's going into the shitter," like blah, blah, blah. I don't know. That's just really discouraging. And I hope that doesn't happen to, I mean, I know it probably happens to people every single day and it's really sad, but, yeah. So if you're a school teacher, just pay attention a little closer. I know it's hard. You have a lot of students, but I definitely could have used someone in that time, and I probably wouldn't have dropped out, and I would have, still been in the play that I got the lead dancer role for that following semester. And like I'd auditioned for it and everything, and I got the part, and I dropped out of high school. I would have stayed. I would have graduated with my friends, And what's crazy is people with ADHD often feel like they don't belong. They don't have a place. And we're very often friends with everyone, like all the groups. I was friends with so many people, but not close enough with so many people that most of my class doesn't remember that I didn't graduate with them. Because I spread myself so thin. Because I didn't know how to get depth with people. That they thought I was there. And it's like, I did go watch, but I had already graduated. I'd already finished high school because I got homeschooled. Man, I went off on a tangent. That's just like I just wanted to get down that rabbit hole though, because those are like all the side effects that ADHD can have on you as a person. Because had I not had ADHD, or not even, if I had been diagnosed properly, I would not have been so behind in school to where I wouldn't have used my dad's death as an excuse to get out and do it all online. So that's the moral of the story. Sorry to take y'all down that street, down that rabbit hole. Who thought we were going to get emotional? Yeah, that's not on brand. That's not on brand, but it's okay. Emotions are okay, and I'm learning that as an adult. I used to never show emotion. So, don't diagnose your kids too early. Try to help your kids naturally. Don't give them sugar first thing in the morning. Give them protein. Give yourself protein first thing in the morning. Sugar feeds ADHD. I'm a big advocate for stand-up desks in schools. If I ever get rich, which I plan on it one day, one of my biggest things I want to do is help fund stand-up desks in elementary schools, even middle school and high school, but like mainly elementary schools at first, because those kids just want to get their energy out. Recess ain't enough, man. And it's like, some of them probably don't even have ADHD. They're just energetic, dude. Leave them alone. I'm not a doctor. Take my advice with a grain of salt, but that's just how I feel. I feel bad for the boys who their ADHD shows energetically. Me as a female, and not all of us show up this way, but mine was internal, so I was very hyperactive and hypercritical in my brain. And so, but I was entertaining myself in my mind, and I would zone out. I would play, and this might be normal. You can let me know. You can let me know if you also did this, but I would get different colored erasers and pretend they're characters, or I would zone out of my elementary school character and pretend I was a high school kid. And all of a sudden, like, I would feel more mature, and I would pretend I was older. And I had to get out of character and absorb another personality in order to focus. Like, I was essentially acting in order to get my brain to focus on what I needed to focus on. Okay, so that's a little bit about ADHD as a kid, that I didn't realize how it was showing up in my life until I've learned more about it as an adult. So accepting I had ADHD was actually a healing process for me. It was the start to a healing journey of like, oh, there was never anything wrong with you. There was never anything wrong with you. You just needed different tactics. You have a different head dynamic. You just have different ways that you need to go about things in order to do them. But there are things that you can do better because of your ADHD. And there are things that you can do that other people can't do in one day because you have ADHD. I was talking to my friend Alejandro the other day on the phone, and I was like, we are the jack of all trades and the master of none. But we get bored. Like, let me tell you all the hobbies that I've had in the past year. Crystal making, like advising, life coaching, wood burning, wood whittling. I don't do any of those anymore. I still love crystals, and I still wear them. And where's my big one? I just found this one again the other day, and I'm so lit about it. I still love crystals, but I don't sell them. I don't make them. I don't do that stuff anymore because that was a hobby that I loved and was fun, but that's not something that I wanted to do forever. You know, it's an ADHD thing. Anywho, tell me your favorite hobby. How many ADHD hobbies have you had, and where are all those materials now? Okay, so I get questions about Adderall or my prescription. So I'm not going to speak on the other ones because I don't take them. I only take Adderall. I only take the Instance. I'm prescribed them. That's what I'm supposed to have. I'm only prescribed the 10s. And doctors will often, let me preface, I am not a doctor. Take this with a grain of salt. But this is what helps me. I'd never take a full 10. And I don't take it every day. I let my ADHD free. When I don't need to be hyper focused on something, or I don't need that, like, you can tell when your brain's foggy or when you're not properly processing your nervous system and that kind of stuff is happening. Yeah, take one. But I don't even take a whole, I take a quarter. So that's 2.5. And I break it down into quarters. So if by lunch that 2.5 is, okay, that's not really doing much, I'll take another 2.5. And I'll inch up from there instead of taking the whole thing at once, getting really into something all at once, and then boom. That's the way that your tolerance starts to dwindle, and you need to be raised in the milligrams. And I've been on 10 milligrams for 2 years now, and I've not had to go up. It still helps me the same. Some days are better than others. That's just how ADHD is. But in order to avoid that dependence on it, I don't take it unless you're intuitive. Feel your body. You don't have to take it every day. You don't. And that may be some controversy. Doctors may come at me. I don't know. You don't have to take it every day. And if you prefer the natural way, look into Joe Rogan's brand On It has a good focus supplement that I used to take. Getting Adderall is just cheaper for me because of insurance. Lion's mane, fish oil, avocados, zinc, magnesium. There's natural things that you can put into your body that help that focus. Lion's mane is like a really big one. And then there's like mushroom extract things that you can, like there's mushroom coffee and like different things that you can try before you even have to think about doing that. And for kids, in the research that I've done in the last almost 4 years, I haven't went down the kid rabbit hole super deep, but I do know stop giving them sugars in the morning. It feeds the ADHD. Starting kids' days and your day off with protein, eggs, that stuff, maybe even some avocado if they'll eat it. It does wonders for your brain. Wonders. Adults, alcohol is also not great for ADHD people. I didn't know that. We're chasing dopamine, and alcohol gives us temporary dopamine, which is a big reason why a lot of us struggle to stop at the one, because we think we need the next one and the next one and the next one to have those highs. And there's a habit of having something in our hand. So, another tip on if you're trying to quit is putting a cranberry soda water in your hand, a Sprite, something. I did cranberry soda water so that random men didn't come up to me at the bar and be like, "Why aren't you drinking?" Anywho, so yeah, that's another little tip. ADHD can be so debilitating. And my friend and I were talking about it the other day. It's just people don't realize the implication it can have on a person and the overwhelm. And there's some days where we're just way more aware of our ADHD than others. And you feel your brain drifting from thought to thought and not finishing it. And you start to like freak out because you don't have the control. And it's just, I saw a meme the other day that I told her, it's like we're on a Sims game and people keep canceling our actions that they told us to go do. And we keep just like hitting a wall and just like, If you're not watching, I just did a kind of a version of the robot. I don't know what that was. And it can be so stressful and so overwhelming. And that's what leads to like executive dysfunction and depression and the guilt and the doom scrolls and yelling at yourself in your brain. Like, why can't I just do this? Why can't I just do this one thing without having to get over here and start doing this other thing? And that's the relief that having a proper diagnosis gives you, is identifying the problem, studying the problem, finding what works for you with the problem. If Adderall doesn't work for you, try something else. Some people's brains work better with other things. If you don't want to go down that road, try the natural way. It's just different tactics, different strokes, different folks. Do the work. Figure out what works for you. If you have kids, if they're showing signs of ADHD, do the work. Try the natural way first when they're younger. Try the protein first. Try, the safe, I don't know what supplements are safe for kids. You'd have to do research for that. But like the natural supplements, I don't know if kids can have lion's mane. I'm not sure. I don't have kids. I haven't went down that rabbit hole, but I want to be an advocate for them. So maybe I'll start doing research, because when I have kids, because ADHD is hereditary, I want to be able to be that voice that I didn't have for myself, So that's ADHD. This was actually an ADHD podcast. So I am going to do a little Sunday scaries, do a little conspiracy theories, and then we'll get out of here. Because the majority of this podcast was about ADHD. And I'm glad. And I'm glad to get vulnerable with you guys and to show you that it's okay. Another thing I want to say is, so my friend Madison, she was like, you know, you are my most productive friend. And it's so relieving to hear you say that you took a nap or like you sat down because you couldn't do what you were doing anymore. And I was like, oh, girl, I do that all the time. I do that all the time. I don't nap. I'm not a nap girly, but like I sit down. I'm sad. I'll sit and read my book, or I'll sit and I get in doom scrolls. I'm a doom scroller too. I have things in place that help me pull myself out of that. Took me a long time to get there, but I have like the screen time timers to try to like remind me to get out of that. I'll set alarms, or I really hyper focus and make sure I got everything done before I sit down because I know I'm going to get stuck. I try to do different tactics for different things so that I don't get into the dread and guilt and depression portion of it, that I can just, maybe I get stuck in the executive dysfunction and then I'm able to come out of it, because I used to get deep into the depressive part of it and I wouldn't get out of bed and I would work out of bed. I never came out of my room. And, you know, one of the habits that I put in place for myself so that I don't get back in my bed is to make my bed as soon as I get out of my bed. And that has fixed me not going back to my bed, which is nice. And I have a ton of pillows. So it's like, I can't ruin this beautiful display. I have to wait until nighttime. You know, so just put things in place that trick your brain. Also, the templates that I talk about, I've put them for free. I just want everyone to have stuff that works for them, and it works for me. So if it works for you, I want you to have it. If you have an iPad, or if you have a printer, or if you want to use it on your computer even, it might not be super computer friendly. You want to be able to write, but maybe type, I don't know. My task to-do list, the checklist, that breakdown, that PDF template is free on my website, adhd.com, ADIHDY.com. And then the task breakdown. So if you're stuck on your to-do list, you take your tasks and you break them into smaller tasks, and there's a reward system built in that you can give yourself rewards. You fill it all out either the night before or the morning of and get that shit done. They're free. Go check them out. I put them for free. It'll email to you after you do it or whatever. I think, yeah, it does ask for your email because that's how you get the PDF. So yeah, the journal and the burnout is still has a price on it, but those other two, they're free. I just think everyone should have a good task breakdown template in place. And if it's going to help people, I want it to help people. So I wanted to offer that for free. And yeah, I just want to help. I just want to help people. All right, let's get into Sunday scaries. Let's be scared. Let's be scared together. You're going to be scared for this. So this is one of mine. So I dated a guy that was 4 years older than me when I was like 16. And this man broke up with me for having a country accent. Granted, we're both from Kentucky. We were both from the same hometown. He broke up with me for having a country accent. Meanwhile, his accent is thicker than mine now. I begged him back. Everything that man did, I would beg him back. I would apologize. It was so disgusting. He also broke up with me for wearing cowboy boots because I couldn't wear sneakers and cowboy boots. As a dancer, I had to pick one because I did hip hop. I wasn't allowed to be a country girl, but also do hip hop dance. I had to pick one. Excuse me, sir. What the hell? If y'all have people like that in your life, but get out now. I needed someone to tell me to get out. Nobody told me. Not until like way later did someone tell me to get out of that relationship. Whatever. Anywho, I'm mad about that now because I'm sad for my younger self, but like we've since forgiven and moved on. Like, it's fine. I don't wish him ill will at all whatsoever. Like, what was I thinking? Like, don't be begging people back, man. Don't be doing it. Even if you're the one that messed up, let them go. You messed up. Let them go. Let them go. Let them go. Yeah. Just don't live that life. I lived that life for too long. It was like almost 2 years. It felt like 2 years. Maybe it was only a year and a half. I don't know. It felt like a long time. But some Miranda Lambert really got me through that era. All right. So let's move on to some conspiracy theories. And I'm going to do it again. You mean you don't believe in any conspiracy theories? I get that from, there was a meme, and there's this guy that said that. You mean you don't believe in any conspiracy theories? I'm not saying you got to believe in all of them, but not one. It's so funny. It's so funny. If I find the video, I'll repost it. But so apparently there's sawdust in shredded cheese bags. I don't know how much of a conspiracy theory this is, because I think it's actually true. They put sawdust in shredded cheese bags to keep it from sticking. Because if you have true cheese, a block of cheese, and you grate it out, it's sticking to each other because it's cheese. But they be putting sawdust in the shredded cheese bags so it doesn't clump. Find me at the grocery store buying a block of cheese. It's in my fridge right now. A block of cheese. Have I touched it? No. Have I shredded it? No. I just forgot to get shredded chicken. I wanted shredded chicken with shredded cheese in a quesadilla. I have the tortillas. I have the cheese block, but I don't have the rotisserie chicken, so it never happened. ADHD. Out of sight, out of mind. That's another thing. Definitely recommend clear bins to put in your fridge and in your pantry so you can see your foods. That's something that I've done. You can go check out my Amazon storefront. I have a bunch of containers there. Some of them I still don't have that I really want, and I'm just sharing them with you. Okay. One of my favorite segments, the fire safety tips. So this last week, I had an electrical fire where the people caught the fire pretty early on, but so they had a plug-in air freshener plugged in behind a plant, and those things can run hot and they can overheat, they can short, and they can melt and either catch on fire or catch something near them on fire. Depends on the situation. But at this point, they come down, and we don't know if the failure happened right now. We don't know if the failure happened in the outlet itself or at the plug-in air freshener. But granted, there's a fire. There's an electrical fire happening, spreads to the plant. And when she comes down, it's moving to the couch at this point. And when fire gets a couch going pretty well, it's hard to put it out if you don't have the fire department there. So they start trying to use water on the fire. Water on an electrical fire will make it worse. And that's what was happening. They were adding water and it was making it worse. It was not helping because it's electrical. So don't be throwing water on an electrical fire if you catch an electrical fire early. I don't have one in my home. I need to. There are fire extinguishers that are rated for different things, and some of them I'm pretty sure are like all-purpose rated or whatever. So just have a kitchen fire extinguisher, have a fire blanket, and have a fire extinguisher for electrical fires, just in case it happens. You know, that's my fire safety tip. All right, I won't do a quote of the day today. I think my first quote of the day was last week, so that may not even be a thing anymore. But I just don't. Actually, I have a quote right here. Have a mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing. That's our quote of the day. Thank you guys for listening. If you're listening, sorry I missed last week. I'll try not to let it happen again. I did want to say thank you guys. I hit 100 listeners a little bit ago and I forgot to say thank you. So I just want to say thank you. And that may not seem like a big number, but if I was in a room with 100 people doing this podcast in front of them, that would be a big deal for me. So I'm just taking it as that. If you're enjoying what you're listening to, give me a follow, give me a like, subscribe on YouTube, share with your friends. The more comments you give, the more love you're giving, the more you're saving and sharing, the more I'm getting to an extended audience. That's just how the algorithm works. Truly, do we even know how the algorithm works? I don't know. But yeah, send me your questions, your Reddit things, your conspiracy theories, and your Sunday scary stories, and I'll continue to read them anonymously and do what I can do. But thanks for listening. Thanks for dealing with the special guest, Mr. Moose over here. Moose, anything to say for closing remarks? Agreed. Anywho, thanks for getting vulnerable with me, and thanks for, allowing me to do this. I mean, I don't get paid for this, so I guess I'm just doing this on my own free will, and it's not even necessarily that you're allowing me to do anything, but the fact that I'm getting any listeners at all, if I just help one person, honestly, it's worth it. So thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, because you may be the reason that I help someone by sharing my podcast with people. I like to think that we do an equal mix of comedy, seriousness, advice, and a different head dynamic outlook. We're ending the stigma and making it a strength, which is what it is. So a different head dynamic, baby. Go check out my website, get those free templates, and let's get our lives together. That's a wrap on episode 6. So go drink your water. You're probably dehydrated. All right. See you next week. Bye. Bye, y'all.